The most dramatic betrayal in David's career happened in 1992, when Johnny Carson announced his retirement. Everyone in America expected David to inherit The Tonight Show. David expected it too. He had been Carson's chosen successor for years, and taking over seemed like destiny. But NBC shocked the entire entertainment industry by choosing Jay Leno instead. This wasn't just a career disappointment. It was personal betrayal that crushed David emotionally. The rejection motivated David like nothing ever had before. When CBS offered him $15 million per year to create The Late Show, he accepted immediately. Moving his entire operation from Los Angeles to New York was expensive and complicated, but David was determined to prove that NBC had made the biggest mistake in television history. The Late Show became a massive hit, and David's annual salary eventually grew to over $30 million. With his new wealth, David started buying properties that most people only see in movies. His first major purchase was a 108-acre estate in Connecticut for $2.5 million. The Georgian-style mansion had 8 bedrooms, multiple guest houses, a professional tennis court, and complete privacy. But the property that captured David's heart was his incredible ranch in Montana. He paid $8 million for 2,700 acres of pure wilderness, then spent millions more turning it into his personal paradise. The Montana ranch isn't just a vacation home. It's a working cattle operation where David lives like a real cowboy. He raises hundreds of cattle, maintains horse stables, and participates in every aspect of ranch management. This might seem strange for a television host, but people who know David say he's happiest when he's doing physical work outdoors. The ranch provides something authentic in his life, full of artificial Hollywood relationships. David's car collection is absolutely insane and worth over $20 million. His garage in Connecticut looks like a luxury dealership with 60 vintage and modern vehicles. We're talking rare 1960s Ferraris worth millions each, classic Porsches that increase in value every year, vintage Corvettes from the golden age of American muscle cars, and an impressive collection of motorcycles. But David isn't just collecting expensive toys to show off. He actually works on these cars himself and understands every mechanical detail. His passion for racing led to ownership of David Letterman Racing, a professional IndyCar team that competes at the highest level of motorsports. The team costs millions of dollars annually just to operate, but it has achieved real success, including victories at the Indianapolis 500. For David, owning a race team connects him to his childhood in Indiana, where he attended races with his father and dreamed of being part of the sport. Everything changed on January 14, 2000, when David almost died from a massive heart attack while vacationing in Barbados. At 52 years old, he experienced crushing chest pain, but initially dismissed it as indigestion. Only immediate medical intervention saved his life. When doctors examined his heart, they discovered damage so severe that 5 major arteries needed surgical repair. The quintuple bypass surgery was successful, but recovery was the most challenging experience of David's life. Being helpless in a hospital bed was torture for someone accustomed to controlling every detail of his environment. But the near-death experience changed David's priorities completely. He realized that all his money and fame meant nothing if he wasn't healthy enough to enjoy them. The heart attack also strengthened his relationship with Regina Lasco, a production assistant who had been quietly dating him for several years. Regina's unwavering loyalty during David's recovery created a deep emotional bond. She never left his side during the scariest weeks of his life, and her support meant everything to him. Their relationship led to marriage and the birth of their son Harry in 2003. At 56 years old, becoming a father transformed David more profoundly than any career achievement. Suddenly, he had something more important than television ratings and celebrity interviews. But having a family also attracted dangerous attention. A mentally unstable woman named Kelly Frank repeatedly broke into David's Connecticut home, claiming to be his wife and Harry's mother. This terrifying situation continued for years, forcing David to hire extensive security and live in constant fear for his family's safety. The stalker was eventually stopped through restraining orders and criminal prosecution, but the experience showed how fame can endanger the people you love most. In 2009, David faced another crisis that threatened to destroy his reputation and career. A CBS News producer named Robert Halderman attempted to extort $2 million from him by threatening to expose his affairs with female employees. Instead of paying the blackmail, David made a courageous decision to address the situation publicly during a taping of The Late Show. He admitted to the affairs and apologized to his wife, his staff, and his audience. This moment of brutal honesty revealed a vulnerable side of David that most celebrities would never show. The FBI investigated the extortion plot, and Halderman was prosecuted and sent to prison. But the damage to David's marriage and public image was severe. The incident forced him to undergo therapy and work hard to rebuild trust with the people who mattered most in his life. As David's television career continued through the 2000s, his business empire expanded far beyond his own show. Worldwide Pants produced massive hits like Everybody Loves Raymond, generating hundreds of millions in additional revenue. David proved he wasn't just a talented entertainer, but also a brilliant businessman who understood how to create long-term wealth through smart investments and strategic partnerships. After 33 years of nightly television, David made the difficult decision to retire from The Late Show in 2015. Walking away from a guaranteed $28 million annual salary wasn't easy, but he wanted to spend quality time with his teenage son Harry and finally enjoy the fortune he had worked so hard to build. His final show on May 20th, 2015 was an emotional farewell to the career that had defined his entire adult life. Retirement opened up new opportunities that David actually enjoyed. Netflix offered him $15 million per season to create. My next guest needs no introduction, a show featuring just 6-hour-long episodes per year. This perfect arrangement allows him to conduct in-depth interviews with fascinating people without the grinding pressure of nightly television. The show keeps him relevant while giving him the freedom to enjoy his incredible wealth. Today, at 77 years old, David lives exactly how he wants to live. He splits his time between his Connecticut mansion and Montana ranch, pursuing interests that bring him genuine happiness. His $400 million net worth provides complete financial freedom, but people close to him say he's most content, doing simple things like ranch work, car maintenance, and spending time with his son who is now in college. The wild beard David has grown in retirement has become his trademark, symbolizing his freedom from television's artificial grooming requirements. His health remains generally good, though he's vigilant about cardiac care following his heart attack 24 years ago. Regular medical checkups, a heart-healthy diet, and staying physically active through ranch work help him maintain his energy and vitality. David's incredible journey from a stuttering kid in Indianapolis to the owner of a $400 million empire proves that authenticity and persistence can overcome any obstacle. His story demonstrates that real success isn't just about accumulating wealth, it's about building a life filled with genuine relationships, meaningful work, and the courage to stay true to yourself even when the entire world is watching. Don't click away yet, because David owns one secret luxury item that costs more than most people's houses and will absolutely blow your mind. This billionaire comedian secretly owns a 2,700-acre ranch where he raises cattle like a cowboy. But that's just the beginning of his shocking luxury empire. You think you know David Letterman? Wrong. While millions watched him throw stuff off buildings and mess with celebrities, he was quietly building one of the most insane luxury lifestyles in America. We're talking $400 million worth of crazy expensive toys, secret properties, and wild adventures that make most Hollywood stars look broke. And the craziest part? He almost died building this empire, faced blackmail from criminals, and survived stalkers who wanted to destroy everything he worked for. It's 1947 in Indianapolis. A baby is born to parents who sell flowers and work at churches. They're poor, really poor. That baby grows up to stutter so badly that kids laugh at him every day. Teachers tell him he'll never work in communication because he can't even say his own name without stumbling. Fast forward 70 years, and that same stuttering kid owns more luxury cars than most dealerships, controls a media empire worth hundreds of millions, and lives like a king on properties bigger than entire towns. David Letterman's story starts with pure embarrassment. School was torture. Every time teachers called on him, other kids would start laughing before he even opened his mouth. The stutter was so severe that he avoided talking to anyone. He felt stupid, angry, and completely hopeless. His parents tried speech therapy, but nothing worked. Can you imagine being trapped in your own mouth, having brilliant thoughts but being unable to share them with the world? But here's where the story gets interesting. At Ball State University, David discovered something magical. The campus radio station had old equipment and needed volunteers. When David put on headphones and spoke into a microphone, something incredible happened. The stutter vanished, completely disappeared. For the first time in his life, words flowed out smooth and confident. It was like finding a superpower he never knew existed. College radio became David's obsession. He worked for free, spending every spare moment at the station. Other students were partying and chasing girls, but David was falling in love with broadcasting. He discovered he had a weird sense of humor that made people laugh in unexpected ways. Instead of telling normal jokes, he pointed out how ridiculous everything was. This strange approach would later make him millions, but first he had to survive the brutal early years. After graduation, David's reality check was harsh. Radio stations in Indiana paid almost nothing. We're talking $88 per week, which barely covered rent and food. But the money wasn't the worst part. Station managers kept firing him for being too weird. When serious news came on, David couldn't resist making jokes. During weather reports, he'd make funny comments about meteorologists. News directors hated his unpredictable style and wanted him gone. Most people would have quit and found normal jobs, but David was stubborn. He knew he was different, and he refused to become boring just to keep a paycheck. Getting fired hurt, but it also motivated him. Every rejection made him more determined to prove that his weird style of humor could work. He just needed to find the right audience. In 1975, David made the scariest decision of his life. He quit his Indiana radio job, packed everything he owned into his car, and drove to Los Angeles with $300. No job waiting, no friends to help, no backup plan, just pure faith that somehow he could make it in the entertainment capital of the world. When he arrived in LA, reality hit hard. Everything was expensive, and nobody cared about some weird comedian from Indiana. The first month was brutal. David slept in his car outside comedy clubs because he couldn't afford rent. He showered at gas stations and survived on cheap hamburgers. Every night he performed at the Comedy Store, and most nights the audience hated him. Other comedians had smooth delivery and polished jokes. David was awkward, nervous, and completely different from everyone else. People booed him off stage regularly, but something strange started happening. A few people in the audience began to appreciate David's unique style. Instead of trying to be cool like other comedians, he made being uncool into an art form. He talked about his failures, his awkwardness, and how weird life was. This self-deprecating approach was revolutionary. Most entertainers tried to seem perfect, but David made imperfection hilarious. The breakthrough came in 1978 when Johnny Carson's talent scouts attended one of David's performances. Carson was the absolute king of television, and getting noticed by his people was like winning the lottery. When they invited David to appear on The Tonight Show, it changed everything. Carson didn't just like David's comedy. He saw something special in the nervous kid from Indiana. This wasn't just professional recognition. It was like being adopted by television royalty. Carson became David's mentor and protector in Hollywood. He guided him through the dangerous politics of show business and taught him how to handle fame. When NBC offered David his own show in 1982, Carson's endorsement made it happen. Late Night with David Letterman was unlike anything television had ever seen. David created insane segments like stupid pet tricks, threw things off tall buildings, and interviewed celebrities in completely unexpected ways. The show was weird, unpredictable, and absolutely brilliant. But success came with a terrible price. David became completely obsessed with his show. He worked 18 hours every single day, including weekends. He demanded perfection from everyone around him and fired people for tiny mistakes. His long-term girlfriend Meryl Marco, who helped create many famous segments, couldn't handle the pressure. Their relationship collapsed because David cared more about television ratings than human relationships. While other hosts just took their salaries and went home, David was making incredibly smart business moves that would eventually make him filthy rich. He negotiated to own his production company called Worldwide Pants. This decision seemed small at the time, but would eventually be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He also insisted on owning the rights to his show's reruns and international sales. Most entertainers focus only on being famous, but David was quietly building a business empire.